name is Curtis Dasch. If you couldn't figure that out by now, join with me as always is co-host Brandon Colongo. Brandon, say hello before we address a couple of things.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching.
All right, guys. So real quick, I'm just going to hit you with a couple of things. We actually are going to roll with a new format for the Dasch Cast here. We're going to do at least 3 clips a week, anywhere from 10 minutes on. We kind of don't want to overdo your guys' feed, but we want to give you more bite-sized chunks to be able to hit, as well as we will be rebranding a little bit, and Brandon Colongo will have his name up here on the Dasch Cast. We don't have the image quite yet, but we're going to kind of roll into that, and as soon as it's out there, you guys will obviously see a post, I'm sure. Brandon, anything to add to that?
Yeah, smash the like button, subscribe, and let's do it. Leave a comment.
All right, guys. So this week we're in this clip here. Our first little go at it, we're going to be talking about our Week 1 pick'ems. And for some, it went well. For others, it did not. Brandon, I'm going to start with you here, sir. Let's go ahead and talk about one game in particular that maybe gave you fits. The Tampa Bay Bucs and the New Orleans Saints game.
I was hoping you would just forget, and we would just move on to the next topic.
I wish.
No, I'm not worried about it at all. I would say that I picked the Bucs with my heart, knowing full well that Saints having home field advantage had the upper hand, especially with no OTAs, no training camp, no preseason. You're plugging in a new quarterback, new system, who hasn't learned a new system in 19 years, against a very established Saints team with Breeze. And, the result was pretty much to be expected. I was very surprised to see a pick six from Brady. It was a bad idea. The other pick, I don't put as much stock into it, but nevertheless, not a great game. Two touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's never a great stat line. However, to assume that he's going to throw 2 interceptions or anything like that moving forward is ridiculous. And they have a very easy schedule coming up. I expect to see them win the next 3 games.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of that is very, very true. The 2 TDs, 2 INT things is kind of weird because it's not something you really see under a Brady stat line normally. And that first pick was awful. That was a bad throw. I don't know what he was doing there. The second pick, not really so much. But that being said, the Saints defense looked pretty damn stellar. It was a great game for them. Their offense really didn't seem to hit on all cylinders for me personally. I think a little bit of that has to do with Michael Thomas not being healthy towards like the middle of that was a little interesting. Now they still scored 34 points, so I probably am overreacting a little bit.
Or I was going to say maybe you're not giving the Bucs defense enough credit. They have a good defense.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Brady's 18 of 30, 162 TDs versus Brady's 23 of 36. So we definitely know who had the ball more a little bit. But Kamara had a great game. Well, I would say a couple of good runs there. 1 touchdown at least, 2 touchdowns, I believe. He had a great game but right after signing a 5-year extension. No surprise there. Good for him.
Yeah. And the Bucs still have a little sucking ears left in them. I saw a really bad special teams blemish where, it was kind of an onside pooch kick type thing, and the back receiver has to call. The return man has to call it, and instead the first line or the last line of blocking ended up muffing up everything. So a lot of penalties too. Not really something Brady's fault. I think there was over 10 penalties for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they were the most penalized team last year too.
So that's more of an Arians thing. And actually, I was kind of disappointed in the way Arians publicly ripped Brady for that game when he didn't exactly have his stuff together either. When your team has 10 penalties.
Yeah, that team is. He did kind of leave Brady out to dry during one of the interception things too. But anyway, we'll go ahead and jump on here. We are in Jacksonville. We do have to talk about the Jags. They have to talk about how well they did. Pick up the win against the Colts, proving us both wrong. Neither of us really had an inkling that the Colts were gonna drop this game. It ended up being a great game. Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20, a buck 73, 3 TDs. He looked great. Shark looked really good too. So that's not surprising. And the number 1 pick for the Jags as well. He looked great. You wanted to talk about him a little bit. I'll give you the floor here.
Yeah, my boys, they came through. I love it. They played with heart. They were scrappy. They fought the Colts tooth and nail. And, Colts got off to a fast start, and they put out the fire and responded and punched them right back. And I love to see that. Garner Minshew played great. he played really awesome, and so that was really nice to see. I'm obviously now giving up hope in us getting Trevor Lawrence, but there's always Trask, so we've got Trask in the draft as well. Now, as for my other Gator, C.J. Henderson, man, what a game! He played great. He had an interception, I believe, and deflected the final pass to T.Y. Hilton to win the game. So that was clutch, in my opinion. He definitely showed out as far as first-round picks go, and I was really happy with the pick in terms of the fact that it filled a need, and so he proved that he filled the need.
Yeah, I feel
at least for week 1.
Yeah, and that's a thing that I was getting ready to mention too. I'm glad you brought that up with it just being week 1. I don't think there is still a happier city in the NFL in Jacksonville. They were the only team yesterday that allowed fans, by the way, the only team out of every team that played to allow fans. So they were the only team that got to see a win yesterday in person. So that was really, really cool. The city really needed it. I've got nothing negative to say about it.
Well, it's cool too because Florida, we don't give none. We like to enjoy our stuff. And, I'm going to be disappointed now because I feel that the Colts might get Trevor Lawrence. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's another thing that I read is like, a lot of memes out there that are saying, hey, they lost on purpose because they wanted Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think that's hilarious. A thing by any means. Now we have to jump to obligatory Packers talk. We just have to do it. My boys looked absolutely great yesterday. Now, the defense, not so much. Rodgers putting up, I believe, 4 TDs. I'm pretty sure I called him showing out. 32 of 44, 364, 4 TDs. I mean, Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 66 yards, 1 TD. But your boy Dalvin Cook on the other side looked good, too, after signing that extension. What do you think about the Vikings and Packers?
Yeah, the Packers showed out. They were the better team and they played like it. So, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. So,
true.
We expect these types of numbers from Rodgers. I felt like last year we didn't really get quite this type of play, especially not week 1. I remembered a not so great week 1 from Rodgers last time. However, here we go. Boom. You were right. You called it. It's always good to win a nice rivalry game like this, especially week 1.
Of course, yes.
And, Packers are off to a great start. I'm sure you're happy about that.
Absolutely.
I like when my roommate's team does well.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. And of course, I might not be a Brady guy, but I still have said on record he is the GOAT. As much as I hate it, I'd still take Rodgers. I just want to give Devontae Adams a shout out while we're on the Packers subject real quick before we jump to our next thing. He had 14
catches.
156, 2 TDs. He definitely produced. Adam Thielen on the other side, though, got to give props to him. 6 receptions, 110 yards, 2 TDs.
One thing that you didn't mention, the 14 receptions, that ties a single-game franchise record.
See, and that is what I'd love to see, especially in your one and your quarterback and your wide receiver duo getting
against
on the
same
Vikings.
Page. That's what you love.
A home,
that's the team
a rivalry.
Yeah.
It felt
nice.
so good. Felt so good. So hopefully we can keep it up. Every game's a different monster. We'll tackle it. We'll see what happens, and of course you'll hear our predictions on all that within the coming week here. Let's go ahead and jump to a dark horse team. Our dark horse team, and a pick we were both wrong, or I was wrong on, but I think I was happily wrong on. Let's talk Niners, and let's talk Cardinals. Now the Cardinals picked up a win here, and to me, I didn't even think this game would have really been that close. I don't remember what the over-under on it was. I think it was something like 45. It ended up being 44. So that would have been kind of close. Garoppolo, 19 to 33, 259, and 2 TDs. He looked more of the same, I would say. Mostert, on the other hand, going off for that big run, run and reception cannot be underestimated. So I want to get your thoughts on the Niners-Cardinals here.
Well, first of all, I called it. Cardinals. I have
indeed.
A feeling, that second-year hiccup, it's a real thing. And as much as the Niners didn't want to admit that it was going to be a thing, you got to win that game. So, they're going to probably struggle this year. And I think the Cardinals, like we said, they're a dark horse team. They're good. They're better than anyone's giving them credit for. They'll fight you, and that's what they did. Rivalry game. They came out. They played big, and Niners are going to have to regroup and try and probably change their mindset, honestly, if they want to compete for a championship this year.
And with Kittle having a knee sprain, so they're kind of monitoring him against the Jets. But they do have a kind of a soft schedule going up against the Jets next week. Do they even need Kittle to do it? I don't know.
To beat the Jets, no.
So with the Cardinals, I kind of wanted to give a shout out to DeAndre Hopkins. 14 receptions, 151 yards, but no TDs. So it's like. He still had a hell of a game. It reminds me of Julio Jones, who always has these monster yards and like maybe one TD or no TDs because he's got Matt Ryan and that terrible Cardinals team to deal with.
Well, I mean, it's there's lots of guys that can end up scoring the touchdown. Just because you can make a nice catch that puts them in 5, they just mean to give a running play, anticipating that they're going to throw you a quick slant, and then your running back scores a touchdown, and so you didn't put the ball in, but because of the great game that you had, your team scored more points.
True. And of course, nobody's going to get angry about having 151. Oh, well, maybe Stephon Diggs are in the playoffs, depending on how that works.
I'll say something about two teams being worse than I thought.
Okay.
Here we go again with the Cowboys and the Rams. I really wanted to see Jalen Ramsey get burned. It looked like he got burned on that last play. Ref blows the call. And, it'd have been nice if they could have challenged that. They used to have that rule where you could challenge the pass interference. Now, granted, I think only 5 out of 100 made it. But that would have been a good one to make it. The Cowboys had a lot of chances to put the game to win the game, really. They didn't do themselves any favors. However, the timing of that call ultimately changed the game, and the Cowboys should have still won that game.
Yeah, I agree. The Cowboys should have probably still won that game. Didn't end up winning that game. That's going to hurt them. Mike McCarthy, to me, looked like the Packers Mike McCarthy that I've seen running the exact same offense over and over. I think I was talking to Nias about this last night when we were watching the game. It's very predictable. It's your typical West Coast offense. It looks like he has not evolved at all.
Interestingly enough, that whole predictable, I guess the predictability about it, that was the whole problem with the Jason Garrett offense.
Very true. It was very unoriginal, very uninspired.
Going for it on 4th down and doing the draw to Zeke is not the move. You got to put the ball in Dak's hands, because the other team, first of all, you got Aaron Donald on the Rams, so just out of sheer just scheme, that might not be the best call.
True. And Aaron freaking Donald, he is just amazing.
However, I want to mention the point, though, that we had actually talked about earlier, too. If you've already gave Zeke his money, why give the ball to Zeke there and make you look like you paid the wrong guy? You got to put the ball in Dak's hands and give him a chance to prove it and earn the money, or not prove it, and then you have more ammunition, you have more leverage to sign him for less.
Well, let's stay in the NFC East for a bit, because I think we talk about this very briefly. It just reminded me. I talk about that Washington football team win over the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to go ahead and say I was on record. Calling out Wentz might have been the greatest thing I've ever done. I know I've done it previously during the summer. 24 of 42, 270, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. Not what you want from your franchise quarterback. What's going on? The Eagles. They were they were up how many? 20? No, that was the Lions game, 20-6.
The Eagles, I think they were up 17 outs.
Yeah, so it was definitely a meltdown by all way, shape, or form, with Carson Wentz and more people on the Eagles just getting hurt all the time.
Well, he went pick, loss, fumble, pick right at the end of the game.
And people think this guy is better than Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
Who says that? No, they say
there are people that they say Wentz. There are a ton of people. You don't remember that big thing? Everybody was running their mouth putting Wentz ahead of Rodgers.
No, well, they're crazy.
I agree.
You might be on some.
Technically, Wentz does have a Super Bowl ring, doesn't he?
Are you on Reddit?
No Reddit here. No Reddit here. I guess we should talk about the Patriots for a minute. Cam Newton looked pretty good. Cam Newton, he looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, it's the Dolphins.
Yeah. It is the Dolphins, and that doesn't really help. But yeah, but a lot of their offense kind of seemed typical Cam Newton-esque. I guess Josh McDaniels probably gave him a little bit more leeway, or they both started running more draws. Whatever the case may be.
I'm sick about this game because Patriots, their season starts next week, and they're probably going to lose 2 of the next 3. They could lose 3 of the next 3. So I have to eat some crow today about the Dolphins, and the Patriots, and the Buccaneers and the Saints. However, I will have the last laugh for the next 3 weeks.
We will see. We will see. And I guess there's. I don't want to talk about him, but he's the quarterback I'm most scared of. We'll go ahead and talk about Seahawks and Falcons before maybe we wrap this up here. Russell Wilson, 31 to 35, 322 yards, 4 TDs. Oh God, I don't want to see this. I'm afraid.
I'm looking really smart in my prediction in this division right about now.
Yeah,
The only one of my predictions where I'm looking smart.
I mean, it only takes the one, and you gotta think that's crazy. Gurley for the Falcons, real quick, 14 carries, 56 yards, 1 TD. Good for him. Good for him to get the carries. Good for him. I mean, his yards per carry isn't all that great, but getting that TD and coming back after not being utilized, I think you would kind of agree with that, right?
That was definitely what I said explicitly on this podcast. I said that his decline was not any degeneration on his part. It was
The
lack of touches
Yeah.
from, because everyone knows not McCarthy, listen to me. Everyone knows McVay likes to throw. And so he always wanted to throw anyways. Now they don't have a guy that they feel like they have to feed. So we're going to see what happens. Obviously, I don't think the Falcons are in a position to let Gurley have the last laugh, but I think he's gonna do very well for them.
And to kind of further prove my point about Julio Jones before, 9 receptions, 157 yards, no TDs. It's a very Julio Jones-like stat. But you got to give props where props is, where credit where credit is due. Russell Wilson, 31 to 35, like I said, fucking 4 TDs. That's just, that scares me. It scares the crap out of me. Granted, it was against the Falcons, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. You guys will be able to catch a Dasch Cast with myself and Brandon Colongo through the week, where you'll hear us talk about NBA playoffs. We'll address the Nash to Brooklyn hiring, Skip Bayless's DAC comments, and of course you'll have our Week 2 NFL pick'ems.